Hi, welcome to Prayers Radio.
Hey, why, thank you, Reverend Rich. It's good to be with you.
Well, it's show 30. I'm Reverend Rich. This is Reverend
Reverend
Paul.
Paul.
And we have
Hey,
a
Paul.
very special guest today, Christian, Dr. Reverend Christian Sorensen, who's been in our philosophy for a long time and is second generation science of mind minister. So, what do you think,
All
Paul?
Yeah, that's amazing.
All right. Well, do you want to say hi to our audience and then we'll have you pray in?
Hey, thanks for having me here. I appreciate doing that. Spent the weekend hanging out with Reverend Rich and exploring the multidimensional aspects of doing ceremonial expressions, welcoming spirits into this world, sending them off in grand and glorious ways, and uniting people as they walk through this world in their togetherness. So we had a lot of fun. And it's a joy to be here. We had some difficulty technically, and these guys were praying. And if this show had anything to do with prayer, they made it happen. Brought in an angel who was able to figure something out. I don't have a clue what it was. And here I am, thanks to that power of prayer. So maybe we'll be able to talk
Prayer
more
work.
about prayer today.
That's right. And this show is only about prayer, science of mind prayer. Earnest Holmes, as I
Affirmative
like to
prayer.
say.
No beseeching, begging, groveling, worm of the
No,
dust,
no, no, not
eating.
here.
Not here.
Not,
Oh man, I hope I
but
got the
you
right
can do
spot.
that.
Yeah.
So, would you mind praying us in, please?
No, be my pleasure for sure.
All right.
All right. Well, as we unite together here, let us know that wherever we may be, we are still united in consciousness. Doesn't matter the time or space, but we are tuning in to this eternal moment and knowing that we are moving and grooving together in this expanding space of divine realization. We go forth trusting this time, knowing that Spirit is speaking through us all and hearing it as well through us all. So, with a great sense of joy for that which is about to present itself and emerge into this moment, we go forth trusting it. And so it is.
And so
So
it
it is. Wow, that was powerful.
is.
So one of the, I'll give you a little overview of our guest here. He's been on TED Talks. He's you want to tell us about are you over at your Seaside Center?
Yeah, it's definitely a rocking spot here in the North County of San Diego. It just seems to be a thriving spiritual community. I kind of blame it on our musical director, who's been voted best performing artist in San Diego year after year. Goes on tours with Sheila E. I mean, last year I turned on the 4th of July, and there she was singing at the state capitol in front of 750,000 people. And then she was back here on Sunday morning with us. So she's truly a terrific one. One year I saw her, I was watching the Academy Awards, and there she was singing with Elton John at the Academy Awards. So she brings in some of the best singers in Southern California. So they may come to hear her, and they'll stick around for me. So whatever it happens here, it just continues to expand. We have a young, vibrant spiritual community with a lot of connection groups going on. Yeah, we're just starting up some home study groups right now based on the Sunday message. We're using a terrific book from Tama Keeves called Trusting Yourself. So the next 6 weeks. And if any of your viewers want to join in, we've got some of them available online. It's an hour and 15 minutes, and they're just taking the spiritual message in a small group setting online to a deeper place. So just go to our website and sign up. It starts next week.
And
And
so
what's
what
your
we're going to
website
do is
again?
go ahead.
Oh, what's your website again for
Oh,
people?
it's pretty easy. SeasideCenter.org.
And
Perfect.
we'll plug it also at the end of the show. And for our viewers, we actually have notes and stuff at the end inside of all the different platforms, which we're on 15 platforms now.
Wow, good going. That's very exciting. I guess
So
prayer works, you know?
prayer does work. It's amazing.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I think the only other thing that we need to say is, you're also an author of many books, it looks like.
Yeah. I've got 11 books I've put out there. The latest, a few of them are like these daily guides, 365 days of
Mm.
inspiration. And just put one out this year. It's called Wholehearted Living. Did it in conjunction with another minister of religious science, Reverend Catherine Economo. And she died actually before it got published. And so all the proceeds, 100%, go to her 16-year-old daughter's college fund. and you can get it at Amazon along with any of my other books. And it's 365 days of inspirational living for richer living. And they're just little one-page inspirationals followed with a contemplative question.
Mm.
So it's a nice way to start a day or end a day or midday pick
Fantastic.
me up.
What we'll do is we'll put that inside the show notes for it also, so that our viewers and listeners can actually do this, because all of the different platforms have show notes inside of it and itemized parts.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, we have a couple of questions for you. Paul, would you like to take the first question?
Yeah, thank you. Speaking of prayer, what tangible results have you seen from your use of prayer?
Oh my goodness. It's really from our fruits that we take the authority, from the demonstrations. And I've seen, cancer dissolve. I've seen brain tumors disappear. Diabetics no longer need insulin. Broken relationships become magical. Bad relationships dissolve. Abundance come. Bankruptcy turns people into multimillionaires. I've been doing this for more than 40 years. I took my first pulpit in 82. So I don't know. I don't have enough fingers to figure it out, but I know it's more than 4 decades. And in that time, I mean, here is a good one. I was in my first pulpit in Ventura, and it's a beautiful location. It's a building's a historical landmark built after Mayan architecture around the beginning of the century or last century, 1900s, and it comes with its ghosts and everything. It's pretty cool, balconies. And so the way the service would start is at the top of the hour, my organist, those were the days you had organists and sopranos.
Mm.
We don't quite do it like that anymore. But anyway, top of the hour, the organist would start playing the music, and out on the stage I walked. Ta-da! It's just kind of based on the clock. Well, it's like just a couple minutes to the hour, getting ready, and I have a little kid come running backstage and say, "Hey, Reverend Christian, our Marcella, their junior church teacher, fell down the stairs." And was really no railings going into the basement down there where the youth program was. Beautiful spot. It's not like basement dark, It's like it's a nice basement to have kids. And she tumbled off the wall, and I got down there, and you can see, her arms broken, and she beat up on her face, bounced off the wall, and the kids are looking at me. And at first, I had to decide: am I going down? I'm not going down. I got everybody waiting. I'm going to step out on the top of the hour, and ta-da! Here I am. But the kids are saying, "Come on, we need help." So what do? You go where you're being called. They'll figure it out upstairs. So I go downstairs, and there she is, and all the kids are looking, and they're expecting me, to pray, and, to raise the dead and have her do. So, I pray with them all, and, we're all holding hands, we're praying for Marcella and all those things. And it takes some time, and they've called whatever to take her out of there. And so I go back up to the stage, and as I go up there, the organist is just starting in that moment to play. Now, it was way longer than a couple minutes, but I come out there, and I later find out from someone in this front row said our clock stopped on the stage. And so the organist just kept playing their preludes and beginning music, and it started up when I came back to the stage. And I was like, how did that happen? Later, after the service, hey, how's Marcella? They said they took x-rays. They could see where a bone had been broken, but it's not broken anymore. And it's like instantly the bone went back together. And I truly believe that was a direct result of the faith of all those kids expecting
Mm.
her to be healed. It was truly one of those amazing experiences. It's like those things can happen like that. And when you begin to see those kind of moments, it deepens one's conviction. I mean, I can tell you a time about myself when I had my lymph nodes on the thigh. It wasn't good. I thought I pulled it playing tennis or something. And it was beginning of the week, probably did on Monday, my day off. And by the end of the week, it was bad. It was swollen. It was hot. And so I head on down to the doctors, which was not around that area. It was Friday, and we're starting our big pledge program on Sunday. And I look at the doctor. He says, "Hey, we need to take X-rays." Takes X-rays. Hobble back to his office, and he says, "Hey, you got a tumor in there, size of my fist, and we got to get you in the hospital. We got to do a biopsy. We'll figure out what we'll do." And I said, "I can't. I've got to." I've got this big program starting on Sunday. And he said, "Well, I really recommend this is, something's happening here, and we need to get a handle on it." I said, you know what, I'll come back on Monday. That's my day off. You know, we're starting a big program. We've had the whole community for months building it. It launches on Sunday. I got to be there. So I go home, call all the practitioners, and they're praying. Saturday I call them. They're praying. That night I'm sweating, and it's like something's going on. Sunday I hobble out on the stage, and I happen to be doing a talk on healing. Oh, it was so good. You should have been there. It was like one of those great ones. But
Do you
anyway,
ever record it? Do you ever record it?
oh, it was. But who knows where that recording is
Oh,
2 years later? You know. So but anyway, you know, I believe on Sundays when I do these talks, you know, the music and the message, it all leads to the moment of prayer. It's about shifting consciousness. All of those things are good to laugh and cry, applaud, but it's about shifting consciousness. So I step up to do that prayer, and I start speaking this healing prayer, and all of a sudden the words stop coming out of my mouth. They stop flowing. It's like nothing's happening. It's like I'm standing there and all of a sudden tears pouring down my eyes. And it's like, it's embarrassing for a minister when you run out of words or you're like, nothing's coming. You can't think of anything. But you could hear something taking place in the house, in the sanctuary. And after the service, people came through and said, man, that was the best prayer you ever said. I said, but I didn't say anything. Oh, yeah, you did. It was fun. It's like, you ever said? No, I didn't talk, but you know, so anyway, the next day I head on down to the docks and they said, that lump is gone. I don't know what happened. It was like in that moment, on that stage in front of 200 people, it just dissolved. It was gone. Something happened in my body that where they had x-rays saying one thing, and the next couple of days later, it was gone. And so, you know, I've seen it out there. I've seen it with myself. I mean, I could tell you stories about buying this coastal property and we had no money, you know, and that was a good story too, but we'll save that, you know, for another
next time.
Yeah.
Another time. But you know, people would like to live on the beach, and all of a sudden we got these acres with ocean view. It's pretty cool how things work when you begin to hold a vision that is beyond the present mental model that you're holding or that others have. And that's what prayer does. It shifts the perspective of what is possible. You know, we think, okay, bones need to take a long time to heal. Okay, you know, we go through the chemo process. But you know what? That is how we have been brainwashed to believe that this is what is necessary for the body. But what we do in religious science is we would deal in the realm of consciousness that is not bound by form. What we believe is that who I am animates this physical body, and this body responds to who I am. And the insurance companies know some people can get healed and some aren't from particular situations. They don't know who's going to be healed and who's not, but they know the betting odds are right that this is the percentage. They don't care if you're the one who it gets better. And that's what our prayer does. It says, we will put you in that 1% of healing when they say you can't do that. But you know what? Because of taking charge of your mind, you can watch MS begin to disappear from a body. You can watch Parkinson's reverse itself. You can begin to see all these amazing things when you allow yourself to be absorbed in the divine vibration where all things are possible. I not need to tell it what to do. It created all things, including the universe and the galaxy. What I need to do is clear my consciousness and become available for that answer of prayer to show up and get me back online when it was totally beyond my capability.
Well, you know, it's interesting. There's no time and spirit, so things can change that quick.
Right.
So that's the one thing that we need to take away from that. And disclaimer, always check with your doctor, blah, blah, blah. Our YouTube folks, we say hi.
No, I don't know about that.
But we know as reverends that the prayer works, and that when we release it into the law runs with it. God's got it, and it's good. Am I correct?
Right. It works to the degree we believe in it. 100% belief is 100% cure.
And it's 1% is still a majority.
Yeah.
Right.
So the next question we have is, what do you do for your daily practice? Well, how are you grounded in prayer in the morning? You just wake up and go, oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, kind of yes, because when I go to sleep, I just kind of knock myself off with my affirmation as I'm going out is grace and gratitude, grace and gratitude. So last thing on my mind tends to be the first thing that comes to my field of awareness before I open my eyes. It's like, what am I going to be grateful for? Where's grace showing up in my life? So even before I open my eyes, I'm an early riser. I probably can thank my dog and my cat in the early days of that. My dog wanted the walk when the sun was beginning to rise, and my cat wanted his food. And my wife, didn't like those early wake ups, so I would get kicked out of bed by her to the pleasure of the cat and the dog. And so I end up, used to wake up with the sun. Now I just wake up around 5. And I find it's a great time, rather than sitting there with my tea. I get coffee. I like that little extra jolt. Why not? Right. So I have my coffee, and I do my prayers, and I do my meditation. I do my email. But it gets it with that kind of consciousness. I'll do. When I had the dog, it was always I would be outside first thing and just doing that
Oh,
mile loop, and just being a walking meditation, if you would. And now after that, I do my exercise in the morning, whether it's weights or yoga. So I take care of the body. I've already taken care of the mind, trying to catch up with what transpired, and the soul. That is really my meditation. And then I'm blessed. Here it is. 8 o'clock in the morning. We got connected. We're already doing our spiritual talk. Um, During the day, my staff, was a requirement here, if you're part of the staff, is to stop at noon. All of us will go into the sanctuary, and we pray and meditate together. And your viewers are welcome to tune in. They cast it on Facebook Live every day at noon, just a little 10-minute meditation. I share a thought worthy of contemplation. We take 5 minutes in the stillness, and I will bring us back with an affirmative prayer. And it's amazing. Everyone is more productive after that. People who say, if I cut out 10, 15 minutes of my day, I'm going to lose so much productivity. But what we've come to discover is that we become more productive, when we do that. Through the course of the day, I get people calling in for prayer all the time. So I pray all day. I get paid to pray and read and share the contemplations and revelations of that reading that I'm always working on organizing, because another Sunday's coming around. If another Sunday's coming around, I've got to have something to say. And so, through the course of the week, I am trying to lay out things so I don't stress out on a Saturday. And then before I close shop, I do, bless the place and pray. Though if I'm teaching at night, once again, I'm just saturated in that spiritual kind of juice. And, people look at you as a rev. So you gotta kind of, allow that be what exudes from you, as opposed to, stumbling around town. And so that's kind of my day. It's fun to, be people expect you to be praying and meditating. You get paid to do that. Maybe in a corporate world, you can, hey, hold my calls for 15 minutes because I'm meditating. But here, that kind of goes over good. So,
Paul, what do you think? Does it sound like uh, Reverend Christian is doing proactive prayer and everything? What
Well,
do
I
you
was
think?
wondering, how has your prayer evolved over the years to where you are now?
yeah, I with my prayers, I find I'm a lot more in the realization part. Ernest Holmes, he teaches two styles: argumentative and realization.
Mm,
And the argumentative tends to be what the level in which, when doing prayer requests, we start off with, because if somebody's got an aching back, they'd like to hear it maybe mentioned in the prayer, that it's a relevant prayer that really is for my aching back. But
mm,
what has happened is I just pretty much go into more of that absolute state. I
Mm,
go into that, as Joe Dispenza talks about: no place, no time, no
mm,
space, nowhere, into that quantum field that is really beyond the articulation, or even the structure of thought. You just merge into the totality of the
mm,
infinite, where so I guess a lot more of my prayers are the meditation, but not a guided meditation, because so many of these guided and visual meditations are I don't know, like hypnosis in a sense. We're telling you what to think and what pictures to look at. And I feel that my meditations of prayer are going more into that void, if you would, where it just is. And it is the experience that it cannot really be articulated. But when
mm,
you begin to resonate with that frequency of of greater being, that is what outpictures in your body and your world of affairs. And if you've got somebody asking for a prayer request, then they are within your field of consciousness, and if they can grasp the belief, they can match that which you are expressing in that moment. So I think my prayers have shifted more into the experience of the infinite, and from that there comes greater words that are able to be spoken, because if somebody wants to hear you speak a prayer, something's got to come out of your mouth. But really what is taking place is at that energetic level of oneness with the wholeness of it all.
I like that shift of consciousness. I think that says a lot of mountains that we haven't even talked about in some of the prayers that we've talked about. But we know the consciousness shifts inside of it. What do you think, Paul? Is that just something that resonates with you, or?
Yeah, and Christian, how does it feel when you're doing that? Is there a different feeling that you resonate with?
It just feels good. It's like I just want to go back. It's in that place. It's
Girl back.
yeah. It's, I don't want to say it's addicting, but it's, you just want to spend more time there. And then what happens is you bring that into your daily actions and activities, that vibrational level of it feeling good. And that's what you bring to where you are, and not because you're trying. It's just you become more familiar with it, and that familiarity, you begin to be there more, whether your eyes are open and you're walking or driving. It's just, you don't have to go anywhere. You just, it's just more of that at your cellular level.
And how do you release that prayer once you're con- complete with it?
I'm really good at releasing it. It's like I kind of take the lazy approach to it all. I do my work, and I'll drop the prayer request into that field, and man, I'm done with it. It's, you want to think about it, by all means, but my prayers work. And I got back online, and you guys were there praying, so I know your prayers work too. And it's just the knowingness. And if it doesn't show up in the manifestation of the requestee, it's not because I didn't do it. It's not because I didn't go there. I absolutely touched that divine vibration. I know it. I know the wholeness is there. And if you're not getting it, then, hook up some more. It's done unto you as you believe. I did my work. I get results. And if it's not happening for you, then, it's time for you to do a little bit more shifting.
What was interesting for our viewers is that when we were trying to get online, we had some challenges, and then one of his technicians showed up in his office. I think you said it all just sort of flowed and came together and stuff. And we were doing prayer work on it to make it happen, and boom.
Boom, right.
Yeah, when you guys came online, both of your eyes were closed and heads were down. You said, "Man, we can't lose this dude."
No, you're fantastic on what you do. Okay, you've gone over the evolving prayers. You already know what works, as you've explained that. Uh, how do you explain this philosophy to somebody this just doesn't even know or doesn't have a clue about this philosophy?
Well, I start off by saying, well, it is a great approach to life. We talked about being a faith, a philosophy, a way of life, and I share, what we say. It's that common thread of truth that has found itself through the great religions and many of the philosophies, and it is America's unique contribution to the world of theology. Actually, I think it was William James who said that, like in the era of more than 100 years ago. And because you have the Abrahamic religions, which is Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, and they all got the same dad, and they all have Abraham as their father. How they can be so angry at each other, I really don't know, when they all have the same genesis or the same roots. But what we got is the Abrahamic religions, where Abraham's the dad or the father figure there. And then you got the Eastern philosophies. You got the Hindus and the Buddhists. But America's unique approach is that that life force is infinite, and there's not infinite in me. There's infinite as me. I may not be all of it in my conscious awareness, but there's not 1 + 0 = anything but one. There's not God or that life force or that energy or something and you or the sickness or the situation. And so, really, what our philosophy is saying, you speak from that higher perspective. And that's what the New Thought movement is. That is our contribution to the world theology, because it's not that outside gods and things. And it is not, wrathful. It is, there is one, and that is who I am, and we can speak it. And it came out of the transcendentalist movement, and, as we know, the Thoreaus and the Emersons and those guys, in the they called New England the Athens of the New Thought movement, or that time, the 1850s, when it started. But what differentiated our movement from those theosophists was the, the ability to direct. They didn't really explain how it works. They talked about the oversoul, they talked about circulation, but they didn't tell you how you could do it. And the beauty of our philosophy, which is not New Age, because New Age is, it has beautiful things, the New Age movement, with its trinkets and its readings and its channeling and all that. But that's not what we're about. We're about consciousness, and that's what came out of the New Thought movement. And what Ernest Holmes did, the founder of religious science, or Nona Brooks, Fanny James, divine science, is that you could take these spiritual principles and create the healing in your life, to create the abundance in your life, to create the love in your life, because what you're doing is you're aligning with that which already is. I'm not asking something outside of myself, which is kind of the Abrahamic religion, trying to get that delivered, or and so our concept of that infinite is this wonderful vibration of the love, the well-being, the joy, the essence, the abundance, those God qualities. The truth of who you are those qualities, because you are of that. So all those God qualities are the truth of who you are, because you are of that. You are that. God nature is your nature. And as we come into a greater resonance with that, our world will begin to reflect that. For we're told it's done unto you as you believe. That's the creative process. That is the way it works. And that is what we empower people to do with our teaching, which is the science of mind. We teach individuals how to take charge of their life, and we give them the spiritual principles to be able to create their experience in life at the level of their heart and soul can believe and embody and embrace. So, you know.
Is there a favorite book of yours from Ernest Holmes?
Um, this thing called You is the one I direct people to read first, because it's the easiest, it's the simplest, and it'll just tell them how wonderful they are, and who doesn't want to hear that about themselves. So that's what I tend to point people to.
We've had so many guests on that have always said that. We said, don't say this thing called You, don't say the science of mind. What is your other favorite book?
Okay, the Edinburgh lecture, or the Doric, no, the
Yeah.
Ebel lectures. That's what it is. The Ebel lectures are the ones that I've been reading recently, and that came from, I think it was about 1934, or something like that. And
We're at the we're at the 4 minute mark, a little bit less than that, but we're going to have to shotgun these questions, Paul. Go for it.
well, hey, you don't have to give them all to me. I could just, give.
Hey,
You
do
don't
you
have
have
to
a
get
favorite
all the
quote?
answers out of me right now.
Do you have a favorite quote of yours from Ernest Holmes?
Well, let's see. There's one that I kind of like that says, to experience peace, you gotta let go of the lesser for the greater. I didn't. I think that's on about 440 of the Science of Mind. But probably the one I use the most is, um, let's see. We're born into a realm of infinite possibilities that are forever looking to express through you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the who. Infinite possibilities. And you may say opportunities, but that are forever looking to express through you. You are the conduit. I'm making this up now, but you're the conduit. You're the avenue. You're the channel through which the infinite begins to take form. So if you have infinite possibilities, what good is it if it doesn't begin to take form? And so you have been called for a time such as this to bring peace to a planet that could be warring. It's for you to bring abundance to a place that is feeling a constriction. It's up to you to remind people of that health by being the vibration of wholeness when they're in the midst of fear. This world is going to continue to bombard people with fear. That it seems like the media is intentionally trying to split our sense of unity upon this planet, because the truth is most people are playing between the 45-yard lines, but the media has us thinking we're coming from each other's end zones. It's ridiculous. And so what we can remember is that we are the ones that are the unifiers, the recognizers of the divine presence in another human being, and to call that forth in the midst of fear, constriction, anxiety. We are living at a beautiful time. We lined up to get one of these bodies. We won the cosmic lottery to enter into this world. Why allow this world to fill your mind with fear? Why do you believe those headlines when you know the spiritual truth resides in you? You can be walking through it a different theme than others when they want to live with the fear and the hate and all that kind of stuff. There are different classrooms. There are different memes, and you can choose to walk through the valley of the shadow. You don't have to build a condo there. You don't have to stay in that place. You just got to keep going. You got to walk through that. Other people continue to be, bottom lurkers and live in that fear and that darkness. And that will always be one of those lower classrooms that is always available, but it doesn't have to be yours to live in. And so infinite opportunities are forever seeking to express itself through you. What are you holding on to? What's being pumped into your mind saying this is the physical reality right now? Or are you choosing to buy the spiritual reality that is always available? Those opportunities for your ease, your grace, and love in this world. They're yours.
There we have it.
Wow. What would you want our audience to take away from this talk today?
That was it.
Yeah, I mean that's it.
That sounds like
You choose the mean, man. You can live where your heart desires. You don't have to believe the physical facts. They respond to your consciousness. It may be what's going on in this moment, but that's your feedback of your consciousness. It's the biofeedback, what's going on in your world. And people say, hey, if I could just get a snapshot of my thinking, well, you got it. Look around your world. That's where your thinking is. It doesn't just happen to you. And so I encourage people to take charge of their consciousness, because you're watching yourself think. You ever see yourself getting sad, happy? You are the observer, and you got to pull yourself out of the physical experience and become the witness of your life and saying, okay, this is what's going on, but you know what? This is where I'm going. And I like my trajectory, or I don't like my trajectory, but I'm the one who gets to make the adjustments. Yeah. And so I always like to remind people, take charge, man. You're not a victim.
So where can people reach you?
Go to the seasidecenter.org website. You can watch me live on Sunday mornings at 11 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. But if you slept in, you missed it, you can always watch it afterwards. It's on all week right on the website. They probably have a couple of them now. You can do that, or you join me on Facebook Live at noon, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. I'm doing that. So, yeah, love to have you join me in that wonderful realm of the virtual space.
Wow, so we'll put those links in the show notes, and we'll make sure that people actually see that, and then I'll put it on Prayers Radio site also, so that people can see that also. Paul, where can they reach you at?
I'm at iamspiritalive.com.
All right. And I'm Rich Jarvis, and this is Prayers Radio. And would you like to pray us out?
Me?
Yeah.
Or Paul?
No.
And you want a short one. I'll give you a long one someday, but it's just benediction. People want to go. So I know right now it's in that sense, that spirit wanting to flow through us, that it lifts us from this place, enriched, revitalized, energized, and good to go into this day, into this world, just having so much more to bring to all. So with a sense of joy for where we've been and where we're going, knowing it's all now, we step into that eternal now with the vibrancy of God as our very expression. And so it is.
And so it
is. We want to give you great thanks for joining us today, because you stepped up to the plate for us, and we appreciate you. So we're going to say now, bye.
Bye.
See ya.